Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Shawn Thompson, and he is going to be playing Mark and Baghead in the upcoming The House That Eats Flesh, which I'm so proud to announce that I am the associate producer of. So I'm really excited for this movie to come out, and I'm so glad I have Shawn on my show. How you doing, Shawn?
I'm awesome, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm so glad to have you on. I know we scheduled this a few months back. I mean, I'm booked all the way through June now. So a lot of my interviews I've
You're
been
busy.
plugging. I mean, I'm months out now. And you were one of them. I think I started promoting you probably back in, I would say late February, early March. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I saw your schedule fill up quickly and moves forward, and I'm like, wow, he's already booked through Q3 here, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much. So the first question I got for you, how did you get your start into
That's good.
acting?
Well, let's take a step back. I'm in my real world. I'm a computer nerd. Very as surprising as this sounds, very introverted. Don't really go out. I have my triple monitors here at my house, and I pretty much bury myself in those for 12 hours a day, and don't speak to too many people very often.
Relatable. I relate.
Yeah. So COVID happened, and I'm in the medical industry, so I didn't get to take time off. We actually got more work because I'm in the medical industry, and but since we had to start working from home, it opened up a lot of time where I wasn't commuting to work. I started making Friday the 13th masks, as a lot of people do, and that actually changed or altered a lot of my friends lists and Facebook groups and whatnot that I started connecting with. And then somebody, and I don't remember who it was initially, introduced me to the concept of a fan film. I had never heard of this concept before, a fan film. And then I heard that, these are things that, people do. You're excited about films. So I started watching some of them, and then making Facebook friends with some of the people that are in some of them. And then somebody said, are you interested in being a part of one? And I'm like, I'm not an actor. And they were like, that's okay. You can audition for it, and we can put you in a role that's, small role, limited visibility, so you can kind of get your feet wet, how you feel, those kind of things. And I said, you know what, that's a dream come true right there. So I dove in at first, and it was amazing. And just been kind of doing it ever since. It's been an exciting adventure.
Nice. Which was that? Was that Roseblood, or was that a different fan film you started with?
Roseblood. Yeah.
So what was that experience
Roseblood.
like?
It was neat. I didn't know how much was went into making a movie. I mean, when you're watching a movie, obviously you have some semblance of behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and those kind of things. And obviously, there's a script and whatnot. But being a part of that, even in the I was in I think 4 or 5 different small pieces of that film. Just being a part of that, realizing how much is involved. When you get into, obviously acting, my segment is between, action and cut, and that's pretty much it. And realizing the breadth of what goes on beforehand and the enormity of what goes on afterwards, the post-production stuff, really opened my eyes to how amazing this industry is. It's not just, beforehand, I thought the focus was, the focus is on the actors. Those are the people that everybody sees. And I came to realize very, very quickly that the actors are part of it, but they, in relation to everything else that goes on, it just blew my mind. Unbelievable. The level of work on all different levels, on all parties, and mad respect for everybody that is involved in any of these productions at any level.
Yeah. And that's the thing with filmmaking. Like, everybody knows of the director from behind the scenes, the producers from behind the scenes, and the actors on the screen, but they don't realize that there's so much more than just that. And not just talking screenwriters and all that. There's gaffers and electricians and the art department and camera operators and boom mic operators. There's so many thorough levels of things, from simply to that, to catering, to drivers, people that commute and their job is simply pick people up at the airports. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that alone is back. There is somebody that literally picks you up at the airport, makes sure at the hotel, makes sure from the hotel over on set, and coordinates all that stuff. It's
yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah, it
And
really is.
without them, and somebody could argue, well, they're just driving a car, and I'm like, okay, well, you get 20 people, 30 people, 50 people on set, in set, without hesitation, without delay, because everybody needs somebody where they need to be exactly when they need to be there. Go.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it sounds. Not at all. It really isn't, because I mean, it's just the fact that, like, even if you're just driving a car, you still have to pay for gas, and even if it's not your own money, the production money is going towards it. So and gas isn't cheap, as we know nowadays. So it really is it's really a job that's very important, because without them, then we're not getting the actors to their hotels and to and from set, and we don't have a movie.
And and again, props to, because some of my flights, I mean, I leave at 7 o'clock in the morning, means I got to get to the airport at 5, which means somebody's purpose waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 to 3 o'clock in the morning, to make sure, are you up and awake at 4, so I can get you to the airport to make you sure you're home on time.
Yeah.
And obviously they can go to sleep, but somebody's literally getting up at 3:30 in the morning to take me to an airport. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It really is. It really is. And that is part of filmmaking. It's not this is I'm the lead role, and look at my ego type of thing. You leave your ego at the door, the project comes first. Everybody is equal. Doesn't matter if you're the lead, if you're the director, or if you're just a caterer. You're all equal, because you all have an aspect of getting this film made.
And it's funny because I take my scripts with me on set, and I have everybody autograph them. And I've had a couple sets that I've been on where I'll have literally everybody there autograph. And I mean, the makeup person's autographing, and the hairstyle person's autographing, and the person that's driving, hey, you forgot to sign my thing. And they were like, I'm driving you to the airport. You want me to sign it? I'm like, yeah, you're instrumental on making sure that I got home. I mean, yes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I don't think they realize how important they are to it, but I hope in something as probably seemingly insignificant as having them sign the front cover of my script alongside with everybody that's in front of the scenes and the person that wrote the film, that they see it, if for nothing else, they see it in my eyes. They're equally as important. I mean, we couldn't do it without them. So God bless them all.
Absolutely. So regarding The House That Eats Flesh, how did you get your start into that, into becoming Mark and Baghead?
Yes. So I got on set, and I was going to be Baghead. That was the role that I was going to be. And we came to find out that the person is fine, but they apparently had gotten COVID, so they couldn't fly in. And like I said, they're fine, so that's good. So Josh asked me, he said, Baghead, you don't ever see his face ever, because you're in a bag, you're in a burlap sack the entire time. Would you like to be Mark too? And I'm like, hell yes, I want to be anything. So I quickly grabbed a script, found out where Mark's lines were, started learning those as well, because Baghead doesn't have any lines. He just kills indiscriminately. So learn Mark's lines, got the direction from their people there, and we just kind of went back and forth. And there's a really, really cool sequence that we did where I guess it's safe to say Baghead actually kills Mark. So we didn't do any stunt doubles. We didn't do any fake people. I actually got to kill myself on set, which was kind of cool.
That's really fun, actually. That's really amazing. Now, was there any type of green screen in order to make that happen?
No, what we did is we shot a scene of me as Baghead taking somebody out, and then in the way the sequence works, Mark is coming through the back door. So Baghead glances over and sees Mark, and Mark sees him, and basically we shot the scene as Baghead, where I draw a weapon and to go kill Mark, and basically hurl it across the room. So we used a webcam to fly the knife like this. I gave it away. It's a knife. Fly it away like this. And then on the other side of the fence, I literally had a pair of shorts on. Baghead, if you've seen the poster or you've seen the trailer, Baghead's wearing a a Michael Myers looking blue jumpsuit on over top of a felt outfit. Literally dropped that down below my waist, put my Mark outfit on above my waist, and we filmed basically the knife catching me in the chest and me falling and dying facing backwards. So
nice.
As I'm dying as Mark, I'm literally half dressed as Baghead, which is kind of comical.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So can you give us a little backstory about Baghead, or is that going too spoilerish?
That is going to spoilerish.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I think the best thing to do is catch the IMDb. It gives a little history of the house. And if you catch the trailer, the two may give you a little bit about it, but not giving a bunch away.
Okay. Okay. So speaking of the house that eats flesh, can you tell us? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, and if you watch the trailer, I'm trying to think of the different components that are in the trailer. If you watch the trailer and really pay attention of the people in the trailer and their positions in the trailer, in different scenes in the trailer, you may be able to pick up on some stuff that I can't say, but you may be able to pick up on some stuff.
Nice, nice. So everybody's like, okay, they're talking about the house that eats flesh. What the heck is this movie? Can you tell us a little bit about it? What is the synopsis of this movie?
So, so basically, there's a house that's basically built on the gates of hell. Okay, and the house is passed down from generation to generation, and the house needs to survive by, I won't say eating flesh, but basically you sacrifice bodies to the house. Anybody that goes into the house ultimately gets sacrificed to the house. So there is a multi-generational facet to the movie. Yeah, I'm trying to, I want to give a little bit away without giving anything away. There's a multi-general facet to the movie. And in the generation that, I span a couple of generations, but in one of the main generations that I'm in, a bunch of travelers come to the house, and let's just say Baghead unleashes hell.
Nice, nice. Nice. So what do you believe is the best part about filming The House That Eats Flesh, and what do you believe is the worst?
Honestly, the best part was just getting to know the people there in that particular film, as well as in a film called The Naughty List, which we filmed a few months ago. We all actually stayed in the house together. So the neat thing about that is, you know, a lot of the films that I've been in, you arrive, you're reciting your lines in your corner, kind of to yourself. You get action, you do your scene, and that may be the first time you meet the person you're interacting with. You say cut, and that's pretty much your interactions with the person that's there. So in those instances, you don't really get to know the individual. You get to know their character, but you're not going to get to know the individual.
Okay.
In the House That Eats Flesh and in the Naughty List, we actually stayed in the respective, all of us, well, most of us stayed in the houses that we were filming in together. So we woke up, we had to schedule bathrooms, we had to schedule showers, we ate together. You know, there obviously was not enough room to sleep, so some of us slept on the floor on air mattresses. Some people snored, so we got to have, you know, some bonding, making fun of people snoring. And you know, in those instances, that was the neatest part, because in the filming of a film as an actor, if you're just there between the action and the cut, then the person that you're acting with is probably going to stay at I know them as an actor, and that's cool, but that's as deep as we got.
Right.
In those two movies in particular, I consider those guys pretty much family, because like I said, we were all, I don't want to say sleeping together because that sounds wrong, but we were, you know, there were people on sofas, there were people on floors, there were people, I mean, I one night that I slept, I had a air mattress and I couldn't find an extra pillow, so I just grabbed a sofa cushion and I used that as a pillow, and you just make it work. And there was one night that most of us just sat around and talked until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and you don't get to do that on a lot of sets. So in that instance, we kind of became family. We talked about, we talked surface, and then you start getting comfortable and you start talking some deep stuff, and we got into some really deep, meaningful conversations about stuff. It was really cool. I mean, really neat. So that was definitely the best part.
Yeah.
Worst part is when people snored and talked in their sleep and screamed in their sleep and everything else in the world. So, you know,
Name drops?
Baghead made
No,
sure that no.
No, I'm only kidding. You don't have to name drop.
Baghead unleashed a little bit of extra hell on that person.
I'm gonna blame you, Mike Taylor. I'm looking at you, Mike Taylor.
There you
I have to send him this now. Tell him I name dropped his ass. So obviously, you played Baghead, and I'm sure it's safe to say, as we already mentioned, Baghead is the killer of the movie. And when there's a killer of the movie, there comes stunts. Did you do your own stunts? I'm assuming you did with it being an indie film, but did you?
Yeah, I do fight choreography as well, and Yasmin, who's in this film, she is Carlos's, I believe, fiance presently, or I'm not sure if they're married or not. Fiance. She is a mixed martial artist, and she and Baghead go at it in the film. So it was really neat working with her because she's an experienced fighter, and I have about 15 years of various martial arts experience behind me as well. So it was very neat being able to formulate fights between the two of us. The hardest part is the fact that Baghead doesn't know how to fight. He's just basically a big dumb just killing people. So, you know, he takes a lot of punches, he takes a lot of kicks, he doesn't block anything, he just absorbs it.
Kind of like Jason.
So that was, yeah, exactly. It was difficult to unlearn my, I mean, it was funny because in the first time she threw a punch to the head, I actually blocked it just out of natural instinct. And I was like, shoot, I can't do that. I have to just take it. So yeah, we did our own stunts. We had fun with that. And she's a badass. I'll give her props on this. She's a badass. We did some Brazilian Jiujitsu, and she was having me bang her around, smack her around, all sorts of crap. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, I can take it. Come on, let's do it. I'm like, okay. Nice. So she took it like a beast. She gave me a few good bruises. I got a picture on Instagram with a big old welt that goes from about here to here. She did a few right roundhouse kicks to the ribs. She hit the same spot about 10 different times in a row. And about a week and a half later, I had to go to the doctor because I thought she cracked a rib, but it turns out she just tore a little muscle in between the ribs. And I was like, damn, she's good.
Nice. For art.
For art, man. Awesome. Love it.
So what do you believe was the hardest or toughest stunt to do? I mean, with the skills that you have, I don't know if there probably is any.
The hardest part, honestly, I thought personally, was making sure that everything was as safe as can be, because we use a variety of weapons in the film. Some of them are, you know, standard prop weapons, plastic, rubber knives, rubber crowbars. Looking over because I have some of them on my shelf over here. Wrenches, those kind of things. One of the things we actually used in the film was a broken bottle. So we had to be very careful because in the scene, I'm not sure if you see it in the trailer or not. I think you do. Angel was working with the broken bottle, and we just had to be very careful because it was not a breakaway prop bottle. It was a real piece of glass. So there were a lot of different precautions we made sure we took care of to make sure that there was no way that the broken bottle could break any further and hurt her. That was probably the most challenging part, was to make sure. As for Baghead, the most challenging part for me personally was the fact that the bag that I wear kind of shifted through some of the fighting. And in one of the scenes, I'm getting my head bashed against the ground, and I couldn't see the ground because the eye holes moved. So I took a few shots to the head against the back patio deck, and it wakes you up.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to what Steve Dash said when he was playing Friday the 13th Part 2, playing Jason Voorhees, where like the eye hole was kind of like flapping or whatever, and it was hard. It was like cutting, like burning his eye, and it's hard to see when you're running because with those eye holes, it's not as easy as people make it seem to be. Like, oh, you just have two eye holes, you can just see it. No, when the bag is moving, like sometimes it impairs your vision.
Exactly. There's no peripheral vision. I mean, I have two eye holes as Baghead. He only had one. I mean, even with two eye holes, I had no peripheral vision whatsoever. There were some things that we were trying to do Weapon manipulation wise, which I can do very easily if I can see what's going on, flipping crowbars around easily to manipulate the spiking side, the hooking side to make things more fun. Very easy if I can see what's going on.
Right.
As soon as you put the bag on, I was just dropping the thing. Couldn't do it. So
absolutely. So
definitely.
obviously you're part of the indie film community. That's been established, 8 questions ago. But a big part of funding of, being, an indie filmmaker is funding, which 9 times out of 10 is done through Indiegogo or another type of crowdfunding campaign. So do you have any advice to people that would like to donate and support crowdfunding campaigns, but don't know where to start?
Yeah, I mean, just if you're talking about the people that are looking to secure funds, just listen to what people want. There are certain things that I will guarantee any film that I'm in, I'm going to pick up, including like the DVDs, signed posters. I have my posters here that I just need to hang on my office wall.
Right.
Props that I've used, especially that I've used in the film. I want those, and I don't have a problem paying premium for them because that's I look over at my bookshelf and I have weapons and different things from different movies that I've done, and so it's props from Hollywood films are cool. You can buy those that are used in the films. Props that are in films that I'm in are even neater. Props that I use in the films, those are awesome. Those are my memories. So if somebody's going to be in the film, offer any of it, all of it. Who cares? If you're not, even if you may, I have the gun that I used in Dr. Gift. I paid a pretty penny for it, and I'm sure that Abel will have to buy another prop gun later. But I'm like, I don't mind paying because this is the gun I used. I carried in the film. So I want it.
Absolutely. I know with my first film, Samhain, I have almost every single prop in that closet right there. It all stashed away nicely. The only thing I don't have is the Mask of the Killer. That's still in inventory with the 72 merch because we took that on set. But 72, gotcha. we sold a lot of our props and our weapons in that in the first Indiegogo, and we're kind of regretting that because we didn't realize how instrumental that was going to be for the scenes, and we're like, damn, we sold them. I mean, we made a pretty, a pretty profit with it, but it sucks that, we kind of don't have them anymore. Cause I mean, we still have them until filming officially wraps and that. But one thing a lot of people need to know, and this is including 72 as well as other projects, that just because you see that the filming is complete, don't think you're going to get your merchandise that you ordered right away. It could take up to 2 years after filming wraps to even get your merchandise. Don't think that the filmmaker is going to be shady and they're stiffing you. Communication is key. If they're a legitimate filmmaker, reach out to them and they will tell you what the update is. That's just communication goes a long way. But people don't want to. Yeah, and filmmakers, including myself, we don't want to send out all the props, especially the weapons we use, until editing is completely done and the film is released. Because if we send it out, now that person has it, and what happens if we have to do a reshoot? That's all post-production stuff. Yeah. So
and that's a valid point. Baghead's costume, what I wore is Baghead sitting on my shelf, and they needed the head, the bag. To shoot some additional scenes, some pickup scenes. So I mailed it out to them, and just as a courtesy, I put a self-addressed envelope prepaid back to me so that they wouldn't have to worry about it. And I'm like, when you guys are done filming, whatever, just shoot it back to me. I'll put it back on my shelf in case you need it again. I'll shoot it back out to you. No big deal. But I'm like, you keep all this stuff because you're right. If it's different, for someone like myself that's in it, that's part of the film, they're going to be like, okay, I'll mail it back to you. Just mail it back to me when you're done. That's cool. If you're someone that's just contributing to the film, then you'd be like, are you going to give it back to me because I bought it and it's exactly I own it, but are you going to send it back? I mean, obviously, like you said, an ethical filmmaker is going to, but it's also a tough sell to somebody to say, hey, I know you have that prop, or you have that costume, or you have that whatever. Can you do us a favor and send it back, and we'll send it back to you again?
Yep.
So
absolutely, absolutely.
It's just part of the.
Yeah, and if you're going to use a weapon, and you send it to an Indiegogo backer, like chances are you might not get that back. because you don't know who
Right.
the person is that got it. They bought it fair and square. And I mean, we bought the bat for like $20, and I'm like, we could buy another bat if we want, but it doesn't have the same memento. It doesn't have like the blood on it or the or whatever is on it, like that. You can't, it won't have the same thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, I could buy a new one, but it's not the same one used on screen. But
Yep.
I mean,
True.
yeah, and these are things that a lot of people really like to have. And indie films is becoming a pretty big, it's becoming like Hollywood to an extent, minus the big $1 million budgets.
Right.
Like,
And
they're
that's
becoming
actually
popular.
not a bad thing, because if you look
Yeah.
at some, the quality of the indie films has gotten amazingly better I think as more people pay attention to it,
Yeah.
more people, better and better skills are getting involved in it. So that gap or that chasm that existed is getting narrower and narrower.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously you're going to have the Hollywood's got the bottomless budget of talent and bottomless budget of special effects, and can literally do anything without question. So there will always be a gap between the two, but that gap is getting smaller and smaller, and it's great to see, because it's really fun now that I'm doing this, and I've been doing it for a year and a half so far, to actually, instead of saying let's go see a Hollywood film, it's let's go see some of the films that are the lower budget, that they're the indie films, and even let's go see some of the films that some of the people I've worked with have been in, and just see it, because it's kind of neat. We watched a couple of them about a week or two ago. It's just neat to watch.
Absolutely.
And it's so funny. I mean, Roseblood's come out, and Texas AF has come out. That's another one I'm in. And I'm watching them on my TV at home, and it's just weird. And so I'm sitting there with my girlfriend, and we're watching it. It's no big deal. And then as soon as I come on the screen, she's like, look, it's you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, honey. I know. That's my scene. Yes, I know, honey. But she's so excited, but it's so weird.
Yeah.
But it's different when you're watching a film that somebody I've worked with is in the film, because then I feel I now understand where she's coming from, because that person's on the screen. I'm like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. This is so cool. So it's neat.
It really is. And and the thing with indie films is that they're not behind a producer. There are producers, but they're not behind a Hollywood company where it's like, well, this has to be done, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's our company, and it's our, like, this is like the people that are directing and writing it are most likely it's their movie to begin with, so they have all the creative freedom that they want. Yep. And that to me is really important. You have the creative freedom to make any changes you want, or make any updates, or do what you want to do. And if you can't do it this way, then let's try it that way. Yeah. So the last question I got,
and the other thing that's really,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, the other thing that's really neat about it is when you get to collaborate on that, collaborate on stuff like that. I mean, think about it. If you are in a Hollywood production, the bottomless budget is going to be able to hire a team of fight choreographers that are going to dictate to you how a fight should look.
Yes.
When I go to I've been on 3 so far where I've actually been able to design the fight based on the people that are fighting, their size, their roles, ability, and just what the producer wants in terms of a fight. So, when I was collaborating with Yasmin on the House of Eats Flesh fight, it was neat because it wasn't some outsider coming in saying, okay, I've planned this out and this is what you're going to do. It was she and I and Carlos working with the angles of he was getting the angles of the film. We need this angle so this looks like it hit, and we need this angle so it looks like you're putting her to the ground, and those kind of things. And it's collaboration more than dictation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's what
absolutely
you feel like you have an investment in the film because your voice is heard.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. And that's the best part about indie film. Whereas Hollywood is like, it's our company. We hire these pros to do this, and they're going to dictate to you what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Yeah, I completely agree. So the last question I got for you, do you have any other projects in the works that you would like to promote to the listening and the viewing audience?
Oh, okay. So, I'm about to head up to Alabama to film a short scene in a movie called Grace by Night. Okay. I'll be doing a scene with Antonio Sabato Jr., which I'm pretty stoked about.
Nice.
I can't give away anything about the scene because IMDb says we're keeping it under wraps. But if you were to do a Google search on Grace by Night trailer, you'll actually see not so much a trailer, but what the movie is kind of about. I don't want to give it away. If you want to look for it, it's there.
Okay.
We do have some pickup scenes on the naughty list we're doing, which is a Santa Claus slasher type film. I'm trying to think, rolling down my head here. We have. I'm actually going to be doing something cool for a movie called Live, Laugh, Die.
Okay.
I'm going to be a police dispatcher. It's a small role, but I can do it from my house, and I like that. That's kind of neat. I don't have to travel somewhere. It's basically just I'm going to be doing dispatch through the phone, picking it up through the CB of the police officer car, and they were like, "There's no reason for you to come out because it's going to be all auditory. Go for it. You can do it at home." So that's kind of neat.
Awesome. Yeah, Christopher Gatrost, I believe, is going to be the director of that, and I have him scheduled for Slasher Scotty as well. So definitely stay tuned for that as well to talk a little bit of Live, Laugh, Die.
Yep, definitely will.
Yeah.
We got Depravity coming up in the fall, where I'm going to be a police officer, a sheriff. I talked to Abel. He's got a new movie coming out called Chick Chick Boom. He wants to be a part of, so that's kind of cool. And I think there's a couple more in the discussion phase, but I haven't gotten confirmation on them, so I can't give them away yet.
Sounds like a plan. Well, I know you have IMDb, so if anybody wants to see those other movies, if they come onto Shawn's plate or anything else he has going on, check out his IMDb page, and I'm sure that'll be updated once it's confirmed. But I thank you so much, Shawn, for joining me this evening.
I appreciate you having me on, brother. You take care now.
Yep, you do the same. Have a nice night. Bye.
Take care.